Find x using SOH CAH TOA. All right, I have a right triangle. I have x, which represents what looks to be a hypotenuse, so I'll label you hypotenuse. I have an angle right here, and I have a side, but that's all the information I have. So it's not like I'm given another side I can do Pythagorean theorem. I have the angle, I have two sides, and that's it. Well, SOH CAH TOA helps us when we only have two sides or only need two sides and we're given information about an angle. So I'm looking at my angle 72 degrees and I'm comparing what x is to 72 degrees. Well, I already said it's my hypotenuse. So what is 6? 6 is directly next to my angle, which is my adjacent side. Now, before you're like, well, isn't x also adjacent? It is, but that's my hypotenuse. And stop talking like that. So I need to choose the one of these that uses the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. And why don't I call my friend or my Paul Walker one time said that in Too Fast, Too Furious like 20 years ago. He's like, forget about it, If you've seen it, you know. All right, so if we're using we are going to set up cosine of my angle, which I'll call A because I'm afraid to call it X, is going to equal my adjacent side over my hypotenuse. And now I plug in what I know. I plug in cosine of my angle, which I know my angle. We did previous videos where we didn't know my angle, but now I do. Is going to equal my adjacent side, which I know is 6, over my hypotenuse, which is x. So in a previous problem, I was trying to find the angle and we needed to use inverse cosine, not here. What I do is I run to whatever calculator I have or Desmos or whatever I have and make sure your calculator is set to degrees. So if you're using Desmos, hit the little wrench thing and go to degrees. If you're using like a TI-84, make sure you go to mode and make sure it's in degrees. And you're literally going to type out cosine of 72, which I am actually doing that this very second. It's giving me the fraction 0.30901, so I'll just call it 0.309. That's going to equal 6 over x. My job is to solve for x, so this is what I'm going to do. X is on the denominator. I don't like that, so I'm going to create a denominator for you and look at this out of proportion. You don't have to do it this way. This is just the way I'm doing it. And if you don't like it, watch like friggin' Khan Academy or something. They're just not cool and funny. Whenever you have a proportion, crisscross applesauce. So I'm going to multiply 0.309 to x, which is 0.309x. And you're going to set that equal to 6 times 1, which according to my calculations is just 6. You divide both sides by 0.309. Divide both sides by 0.309. So I'm actually going to type that out right now. 6 divided by 0.309. And I get 19.41747. So depending on how picky, I didn't tell you where to round it to, so let's round it to 2 decimal places. 14.42, no units to worry about, don't have to worry about inches or feet or anything like that. So that's how you find x. We're finding a hypotenuse using trigonometry. Awesome.